Hello and welcome to episode 173 of the In the Pen podcast. My name is Jake Crumpler, and as always, I'm joined by pitcher list bullpen expert Rick Graham. Rick and I did a pitcher list way too early mock draft across the past couple of weeks with some other pitcher list folk, both staff members and people from the Discord, right?
It was all staff members, but it was an interesting mix, especially with the early mocks, and we've been doing this for like 7 years now. But like I think we had three or four dynasty guys in there too, so it's always interesting to see how the dynasty guys, they typically lean towards the prospects and the younger crop of players, and then there's the fantasy baseball people like us who, I don't know. I think I was, looking through the teams the other day. I think you did a good job, especially your early attacking hitters. I really like what you did.
When you were filling out the questionnaire and it asked you which team you liked the most, did you put me?
I put you. I did. I put you.
You want to guess who I put?
You put me.
That's right.
Oh, no. See, that's a little biased, but I also mentioned I like what Asher had done too. It's because I try to at least have a little bit of a reliever tint when I'm doing stuff like that. Sure. I figured I should. So I like what we'll get to all the draft picks and everything, but I really like what Asher did with his relievers. Definitely some interesting value. Very interesting across the board for relievers. I mean, drafting in August for next year, especially with relievers, and there's a lot of free agents. So I mean, there's just who knows what's going to happen, a couple months from now. But yeah, very, very interesting selections, I feel like. And, we'll dive into all of that coming up.
Right. Well, how did you feel about the rest of your draft in terms of hitters and starters?
I think I feel better about this year. I don't think I attacked starting pitching hard enough this year. I think I felt a little bit, I was like, all right, I'll get two guys and then just take flyers and at the end of drafts. But I feel like I did a better job of mixing in, starters earlier on, and getting someone like Gilbert early. I felt better about. I mean, hitters, there's a lot of good value in the middle, like third round. And that's probably going to change the closer we get to the draft season next year. But right now, like the third, fourth, fifth rounds look pretty, like there are a lot of good hitters in that, and in starting pitchers, I feel like right now there's so many good starters, or like
they'll guys all be injured by the
time. Exactly. We're gonna lose 5 to 10 of those guys to injury within the next couple of months, and then that's how it goes. But for now, there's a lot of good starting pitching depth and even hitter depth, especially. I think that this rookie class currently, and then even some of the prospects for next year, I think helps with that. So. Yeah, I mean, I felt good. It's always hard with 3 outfielder leagues too, trying to figure it, because it's like you don't want to take outfielders too early, but then there's like there's a good outfield value though in those types of drafts. So, but I think overall, I think I did a pretty good job balancing everything out. Getting some veterans, and then also I added like Franklin Arias. Like who knows? I mean, it's a guy I think the Red Sox might have on their opening day roster next year. So yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, I felt like I went pretty heavy on the young guys who sort of broke out this year.
You had Connor Griffin, right?
And JJ Weatherholt.
JJ Weatherholt. And I was like, I know you were picking after or before me. We were, I think 10. I was 10, you were 11. And I did, I was like, I want to get one of at least like Griffin, McGonigal, Weatherholt, and I just waited a round too late on all of them. So ended up getting Bizana later, but I wanted to get a little bit more exposure to some of that rookie class from this year.
Right, yeah. They went pretty early. It was surprising. And I also got Joshua Baez later, who you're talking about, like the outfielders that sort of slipped. He went super late.
Griffin was one, so I noticed I posted the whole board on Twitter, and I think Griffin was the biggest. Like, how is Connor Griffin going that late? That was like kind of a consensus amongst Twitter. So
nice.
Yeah, I don't. I think that might have been an oversight, but at the same time, there's a lot of good. I mean, you also kind of forget, like, drafting now. He hasn't played since May, June. Right. So, I mean, it does kind of slip a little bit. But yeah, there's a lot of good. I mean, looking at who was drafted after him, before him, it's, I'm not totally shocked. Obviously, Griffin's potential is through the roof, but, from what he showed. I feel like you got him at a good value for sure, but I don't think it's like egregious. Yeah.
No, I don't think it was crazy. I think it was definitely top 100. So I was happy to get him. And we're actually gonna play out this league as a best ball league. We're gonna do a couple more rounds of drafts. This is a 12-team head-to-head categories league, which is your typical standard Yahoo league. But we're gonna do a couple more rounds to make it a best ball. A couple more rounds of drafting, that is, with I think you were saying 5 or 6 more rounds so that we can fill out our rosters.
I think when we were putting this together, we were like, I think November. We're thinking, do 5-round draft in November, and then 6 rounds in February, 6 rounds in January, 6 rounds in March, and that gets us to 40, and then just see what happens. But it's definitely going to make for good content for Jeffrey Felix is going to be writing up the initial article and. It's something very interesting and different approach from anything I've been a part of before.
Right. Yeah. We'll get a real good idea of what the trends are when it comes to drafting as we get deeper into the season, see some guys pop up who goes first in those supplemental rounds. And that'll be really interesting to watch. But we're going to focus on the relievers in our main segment of the podcast. As always, we'll run through the news and notes from the past week, and then we'll talk about the closers rising and falling on Rick's weekly closer ranks, which you can find over at pitcherlist.com. But let's start with those transactions, beginning with Brock Stewart, who was activated from the 15-day IL after missing about 3 weeks with shoulder tendonitis. Jonathan Hernandez was designated for assignment in a corresponding move. And this was right after we had talked about what the ideal Dodgers bullpen looks like. What does it look like at full strength? And we were arguing about whether or not Brock Stewart's going to be back soon enough. And he came back the next day. So honestly, I think it's a little bit too early for him because this gives him too much time to get injured before the playoffs come around.
I know, and he's looked good since he's returned, and they're kind of they're willing to put him right into a high leverage role. Obviously they have really good right-handed depth in that bullpen. They have good left-handed depth too, but I don't know. If Stewart can stay healthy, he's definitely one of their better relievers, possibly their best right-handed reliever when he's. I don't know. It's just there's a lot of it's really deep bullpen, but Stewart looks good. Hopefully he can stay. They really just need him for October. So I know what you mean by like maybe it's a little too early. But if he's healthy, and I don't know, he's going to be one of their bigger pieces in the bullpen for the rest of the year.
Totally. And the if there is very big because that guy just cannot stay healthy. Let's go elsewhere in the NL West. Jaden Hill was activated from the 15-day IL after missing 2 months with shoulder tendonitis. TJ Shook was optioned to the minors in a corresponding move. And the Rockies also selected the contract of Mark Manfredi, who's a 26-year-old southpaw who was acquired from the Brewers in the Antonio Senzatella trade from this past year's trade deadline. The ratios weren't great at AAA, 4.09 ERA, 1.34 WHIP, but he did strike out 34% of the batters he's faced. Fangraphs gave Manfredi a 60 grade fastball, and I don't know where that comes from because he's got a 94 mile per hour four-seamer with 6.4 feet of extension, 11 inches of IVB, and 1.1 HAVA. So I guess
is that from
approach angle?
Is that are those numbers from Colorado or are those from?
Either way.
Yeah, no, I know, but Colorado,
it must be Colorado.
Yeah, but either way, I know it doesn't. Well, and that's where he's going to be pitching. So it's but it doesn't. I wasn't too impressed after his debut.
No, but Jaden Hill should factor into the whole situation there in Colorado.
It's somebody who's kind of interesting in that bullpen. Mejia's struggling there. I think something's wrong with him physically or mentally. I don't know, but his stuff's been way down. That was like the one guy left in that bullpen that was kind of interesting from a stuff perspective. And now I guess Hill kind of fills that gap, but it's still, it's not very exciting in Colorado.
All right, let's go to Seattle, where Carlos Vargas was activated from the 60-day IL after missing all season with a lat strain. Nick Davila was optioned to the minors in a corresponding move, but Vargas has been somebody that's been trusted in some hold situations in the past. I wouldn't say this bullpen is as impenetrable as it's been in the past in terms of allowing upward movement from low leverage relievers. So Vargas, he throws 100 miles per hour. He could quickly rise up this Mariners bullpen ladder.
Yeah, I mean, there was a time where he was interesting. Not as much as right now, but yeah, that especially from the right side there, it's just Bizardo behind Munoz, and we'll see when Matt Brash returns. He's not very close to returning, so yeah, definitely some need for right-handed relief help in Seattle. Maybe Vargas is the answer, but not holding out too much hope there.
In Cincinnati, Tony Santilan was activated from the 15-day IL after missing 2 months with an oblique strain. Big Sugar Zach Maxwell was optioned to the minors in a corresponding move. He got a lot of good memes on Twitter this past week. Everybody was comparing him to the pickle guy from SpongeBob, so that was pretty funny. But Santilan's back, and he's pretty integral to this Reds bullpen. They've been struggling to find a reliable setup guy. Luis May has sort of improved a lot recently. TJ Antone has been relatively reliable, but Tony Santilan's the guy that they would like setting up Emilio Pagan.
Yeah, or closing potentially. I don't know. We'll get into that later. But yeah, I think he's only pitched once since he came back, and he looked fine. Command was rusty, not a surprise there, but
right.
Yeah, it's good to see him back, and I think Graham Ashcraft starts a rehab assignment today too. So there's some reinforcements.
I thought he was dead.
I know. I mean, there was a chance he needed surgery, but I guess he doesn't. So yeah,
okay.
We'll see what Ashcraft, if he can return to. Gives them something to look forward to for the end of the season and into next year.
All right. Elsewhere in the NL Central, Daniel Palencia was activated from the 60-day IL after missing 2 months with an elbow flexor strain. Javier Assad was optioned to the minors in a corresponding move. And we haven't seen how the closer situation is going to work with Palencia back. I would assume Palencia should get the majority of the opportunities, but that hasn't. They haven't gotten an opportunity yet. And did Jacob Webb get a save opportunity on Saturday?
They did on Saturday.
Okay.
Palencia pitched the 7th on Saturday and Webb pitched the 9th, but he blew the save. So
was that on Friday and then
Saturday? I think
I'm sure on roster resorts. I'm showing they both pitched on Friday, and then on Saturday Webb blew a save.
Oh, maybe it was Friday that Palencia.
But Palencia didn't pitch on Saturday, and I would assume that that's because they didn't want to pitch him 2 days in a row immediately back.
Yeah, that's probably But yeah, you're right. I thought Palencia had a hold before he came back. Well, I know he pitched the 6th or the 7th. So yeah. Well, Zephyr John blew the lead in the 8th. That's okay.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I mean, we'll see. I think Palencia. I think you just got to be patient here. I know Jacob Webb's been pitching great, and even after the blown save on Saturday, I don't think that means that Webb's out of the closer role. But I do think eventually Palencia is going to reclaim that job. I think it's just in the best interest of everyone there, as long as Palencia is healthy.
Right. I would agree with that as well. I think they want Palencia in the role, but they want to ease him into it. They don't want to ruin his whole confidence and sort of explode his ERA while he's trying to
Edwin Diaz him.
Right. Yeah. Plug him right back into the closer role. So I think Jacob Webb could still be worth rostering for maybe a couple more weeks, but ultimately it should be Palencia. I feel like they should both be rostered probably at the moment.
For now. Yeah.
Okay, let's go to Tampa Bay, where Manuel Rodriguez was activated from the 60-day IL after missing the entire season following flexor tendon repair surgery. Chris Roycroft was designated for assignment in a corresponding move. He latched on with the A's, but Manuel Rodriguez, they used to be teammates, didn't they? Rodriguez used to be a Cub, yeah. But he's been somebody that the Rays have trusted in the past. He's already gotten a hold in his first appearance this season, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's one of their top holds options behind Kelly and Wells.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, they have lefties there who are pretty good too, and Clevenger and Boozer, and that Rodriguez. It was only his first outing, but the slider still looks pretty good. The fastball is not where it used to be for him, but maybe it will get better over time. So, yeah, we'll see. I'm not not a huge Manuel Rodriguez guy, but
No, because he doesn't strike out a lot of guys, right?
yeah, no. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, he's been at about 21% strikeout rate the past 2 years. More of a whip guy than anything. All right, let's go to our last transaction where Tyler Kinley signed a major league contract with the Tigers after being DFA'd by the Braves. Ty Madden was optioned to the minors in a corresponding move. And this is honestly huge for the Tigers because they've been without Will Vest for quite a while, and I don't think he's coming back anytime soon. Kyle Finnegan has been, bad Nationals. Kyle Finnegan, again, maybe even worse than that. So a veteran presence there could be really helpful for a bullpen that's sort of struggling to find support behind Kenley Jansen.
Yeah. I mean, they needed something, and I guess Kinley, it's interesting that he got DFA'd. I mean, he wasn't great, but he wasn't terrible. I guess just a numbers game there in Atlanta. But I mean, the team like Detroit, I'm surprised. I know Sewald was there in Detroit last year, but that would have been another guy I wouldn't have been shocked if they made a claim on. But Kinley at least gives them something. Because behind Jansen and Drew Sommers, I mean, there's nothing. Kyle Finnegan needs to stop getting the 7th or 8th inning. It's right. It needs to end. But I guess Jansen got a save tonight, so at least he looked better. But we'll see how Kinley fits in.
Yeah, they have Kenley and Kinley now. That's pretty fun.
Yeah.
All right. Well, those are the transactions. Let's look at some of the injuries from the past week. But first, we're going to take a quick break here on In the Pen. And we're back. Jake Crumpler here with Rick Graham on In the Pen discussing relief pitchers. Let's talk about some of the injuries that occurred over the past week. The Giants placed Keaton Wynn on the 15-day IL with elbow neuritis. Reiver San Martin were called for the minors in a corresponding move. But the Giants just cannot catch a break. They just can't keep any of their holds options healthy. I don't know how I missed this one too, but yesterday JT Brubaker hit the 15-day IL too. I forget what the injury exactly was, but Brubaker and Wynn both on the injured list. Luckily, they got Ryan Walker back, and that's their opening day closer who really struggled this year, but he sort of turned a corner in the minor leagues. He's been pitching a lot better in AAA, 1.63 ERA. The strikeouts aren't really there, but those are some pretty good ratios that he's put up at AAA, and they don't really have anybody to set up Dylan Smith right now. Sam Hentges is fine. Jason Foley is there. I don't think Trent Harris is the new guy. So Ryan Walker really can go unimpeded to become the top right-handed setup option. Yeah.
I know he came back yesterday and he threw a bunch of four-seam. I mean, he threw 5 four-seamers, but it's like, I mean, it's just not, it worked, randomly worked. And I'm not sure how. I'm guessing it just worked because of hitters not expecting it at all.
Surprise.
But, it's an interesting approach. I mean, he needs to throw a slider more, but Walker at the end of the day, he's not going to be a huge strikeout guy again. I mean, that 2024 will never happen again, but he could be a competent reliever eventually. But I mean, Carson Seymour's been pitching well for them lately, but like the rest of this bullpen, it's not very exciting. Maybe Anthony Molina. I mean, that was kind of a relief prospect, and
sure,
at some point, he's going to be kind of an interesting name to keep an eye on here. But it's really bleak behind Dylan Smith at the moment.
Yeah, I just don't know with Molina if they're going to use him in a traditional relief role just because he started, I think, 12 games in the minor leagues. I don't know if that was an opener, but he's been a starting pitching prospect. I don't know. I see some potential with Molina as well, but it really depends on what kind of role they put him in. But they've been using Seymour in more of a traditional reliever role too, and San Martin as well. So they're trying to figure things out because that bullpen is in shambles right now. Not that they're winning many games to hold leads regardless.
Right.
Let's go to the Angels, where a promising reliever was placed on the 15-day IL. Sammy Natera Jr. is dealing with back spasms. Sammy Peralta was recalled from the minors in a corresponding move. Got to have at least one Sammy in the bullpen, but Natera was looking really incredible. 2 ERA, 40% strikeout rate in 27 innings for the Angels. He had 3 saves and 4 holds. He was sort of doing a platoon there with Ben Joyce, but with him gone, I think it's just going to be Ben Joyce. But they're not going to throw him on back-to-back days. So there's going to be somebody else there getting saves. We saw Ryan Watson get a save this past week. Jose Fermin has been an option that they've used in a ninth inning in the past. So how do you see this Angels bullpen shaking out with Natera out?
Yeah, I mean, I think you kind of nailed it. Joyce is going to be option 1A. As long as he's available, he'll be the ninth inning guy. But on back-to-backs, if the Angels get back-to-back save chances, yeah, I mean, Ryan Watson, the thing is, like, Watson has he's really good, a pair of really good breaking balls. His fastball is not good. He's been pitching well since he got over to the Angels, though. But I mean, I like Jose Fermin there too. So I think, those are the two guys in the 8th and 7th inning for now. But yeah, Fermin definitely has, if anything were to happen to Joyce again, I think Fermin would be my favorite for like that next man up in the closer role.
Okay. Let's go to Miami, and they lost their closer, Pete Fairbanks, to the 15-day IL as he's dealing with medial nerve irritation. It brings about the concerns about his Raynaud syndrome. I'm pretty sure that's probably what he was dealing with. Dax Fulton was recalled from the minors in a corresponding move. And we also saw Jack Ralston recalled from the minors. He's a 28-year-old rookie, right-handed pitcher at AAA, 1.66 ERA, 104 whip, and a 31% strikeout rate, though his age suggests that maybe he's not the biggest reliever prospect. Though I think even more surprising, John King was designated for assignment. He's really struggled in the second half after a really good first half. So a lot of shakeups here in the Marlins bullpen. What's the takeaway?
Yeah. Ralston's a very he's like a D stuff, A funk. Like he's just a really, really goofy, funky arm angle delivery. Okay. Stuff's not very good, but yeah, he's got that funk going for him. Which I guess in that bullpen that's just loaded with stuff. I mean, yeah, we'll take a little funk in there. Right. With no Fairbanks gone, I mean, it's, if you want to go after Calvin Fauché, like, that's probably the favorite for saves. But the last time Fairbanks was out, they had 4 different relievers pick up a save. No one picked up more than one. I mean, even going back to like the end of last year, I think they had 6 different relievers with a save over the past, since the All-Star break on. So I wouldn't expect anyone to just run away with the closer role here. But Fauché has been pitching well. Definitely has more. He has trust from the manager, so that's probably the favorite. But Josh Eknes has been pitching really well. They like Zuber. I mean, Michael Peterson has crazy stuff as well. So
Victor Vodnik's got closing experience.
Yeah, I think that's not going to happen, but you never know.
There is definitely a lot of options there.
Yeah. So we'll see what. I mean, I don't know. Anthony Bednar hasn't had the best updates with his health, so I'm not sure if he's even going to come back. But if he does
get back, what's the update there?
I think he had a setback with his shin or something. So yeah, I don't know, but he would have been another candidate. Paused his rehab on August 21st. Soreness in his right shin. In his first rehab outing at AAA. So
that's disappointing.
Yeah.
Another disappointing injury. Huascar Brazoban was placed on the 15-day IL with a lat strain. He's been pitching for the White Sox since he was traded by the Mets at the deadline. Jonathan Cannon was recalled for the minors in a corresponding move, and lat strains can be pretty difficult to return from. So I'd expect Brazoban to be probably out beyond the minimum 15 days. And at this point in the year, that puts his season in jeopardy. And it's a big blow to a White Sox bullpen that doesn't really have many right-handed options. And Brazoban was supposed to be the guy to sort of help in that regard by replacing Sir Anthony Dominguez. And he's been very solid this year, but now they're going to have to find somebody else to replace him. And I don't think Cannon is that guy.
No, interesting that he's, I mean, I'm interested to see him in a relief role potentially, but I mean, the thing with Brazoban, I mean, he's been bad since he got there. I think his numbers were very inflated given pitching at Citi Field. The wind tunnel there helping out his changeup and sinker. Because away from Citi Field he was not good, and since the trade he's not been good. So I think he is what he is at this point. So I mean, they'll have to rely on Grant Taylor and Jordan Hicks to carry the way from the right side there.
Right. All right. In terms of news or rumors from the past week, we got a couple. Ryan Helsley threw his first bullpen session on August 23rd. It was about 15 to 20 pitches with off-speed pitches mixed in, and he's lined up for another this week. This is his first mound work since July 11th. So Helsley could be on the verge of returning at least before the end of the season, which could be big for the Orioles, but he's still got a few more hurdles to cross.
Yeah, and then I mean Bautista is also. I mean, I guess it comes down to who returns first, and I think it's kind of we've seen differently. A couple weeks ago, it sounded like Helsley was going to return before Bautista. Last week, it looked like Bautista might return before Helsley. Now, I don't really know. But yeah, I think at least Bautista started his rehab assignment this weekend, and it did not go well. But
yeah.
I guess he was touching 97 miles per hour is the report, which, all right. Yeah, we'll see. We'll take it for now. Touching 97, but yeah, hopefully it sounds like Bautista will be at AAA this week so we can get some actual readings, see what his stuff looks like.
All right. Well, that will wrap up our news and notes section. Now we can get into our 3 up, 3 down section where we talk about the closers rising and falling on Rick's weekly closer ranks, which you can find over at pitcherlist.com. Let's start with the risers, beginning with Tanner Scott, who has taken over the closer role since Edwin Diaz was placed on the 15-day IL. And when you pitch for the Dodgers, when you close for the Dodgers, you're going to have plenty of opportunities to record saves.
Yeah, I mean, and just the fact that it sounds like Edwin Diaz won't be returning to the closer role when he returns
makes sense.
I mean, at this point, yeah, like just Tanner Scott's been awesome all year. Let's just let him finish the year in the closer role.
Right.
Look at it. I mean, maybe it changes in the postseason, but I don't even know why you need to do it to do that then. So, yeah, it sounds like Scott's locked into the closer role for the rest of the year. He's been pitching. He went through a little rough patch in the past couple weeks, but he's been better lately, so I have no concerns there. Just, an easy top 10 closer the rest of the way.
Yeah. You've got him at 12 on your ranks, though.
An easy top 12 closer the rest of the way. I mean, honestly, I can't. I changed the closers between 2 and 12 like so many times, and I just had to be like, you know what, whatever, it doesn't matter. They're all the same.
It's a tier. It's the same
through 12.
Tier.
It is a tier. I mean, they're all really, really good, and you're happy to have any of them. So
right.
Closers 2 through 12, you lucked out. You're good.
Yeah. So Tanner Scott can be considered a tier 2 closer for the rest of the season for sure. Next, we've got Ben Joyce rising up the list as he seems to have the closer role all to himself now with Sammy Natera out. Obviously, they're not going to push him too hard. He probably won't get too many back-to-back appearances, but Natera was a guy who had the ability to even take a save opportunity away when Joyce was available because of how good he was pitching if we had a bunch of lefties in the 9th inning. But Joyce should be pretty solid the rest of the way. 0 ERA through 6 2/3 innings with a 38% strikeout rate. He's looking better than he ever has.
Yeah, I mean, Natera was the closer, I would say, even with Joyce there. And then it's just the injury opened up things for Joyce. So now, yeah, he's all by himself. No Natera, no Bachman, no anyone else you can think of. So yeah, the role is wide open for him, and his he's looked excellent. I mean, he had it wasn't even a bad outing the other night, or maybe the last time he pitched when he had a loss in that game. But I mean, stuff still looks good. I want to see him throw the slider more. Hopefully, feel more comfortable throwing the slider. But yeah, the fastball's great right now.
All right. And our last riser is a duo, Justin Martinez and Daniel Palencia. Both of these guys have returned from lengthy IL stints. Martinez missed the whole year after Tommy John surgery. We talked about Palencia earlier in the podcast, returning from an elbow flexor strain. Both of these guys should be the closers for their respective teams, the D-backs and the Cubs, but they haven't gotten save opportunities yet. Why do you have them rising up the ranks?
I think, they just returned. The stuff looks great for both of them. Command's a little rusty, but that will come. I mean, it's going to take a few outings, at least, I'd say 3 to stabilize. So I'm hoping, I think you just got to be patient with Martinez and Palencia, especially Martinez. I think there's no, that closer role is wide open. There's no one in the
Right.
role right now. They're just, Ginkel got the last save again,
Yep.
and that's just not the answer. So I think Martinez is going to be the guy eventually, and Palencia again. I think Palencia will get his job back as well. So just be patient with those guys. The stuff is there. Just I'd imagine that by the end of hopefully next week, those guys are in the closer role, and it's not really much of a discussion.
All right. Well, as those guys rise up the list, others need to fall to accommodate them. Our first faller is Riley O'Brien. And not only has he struggled for most of the season, he was really good for the first 2 months, and it's just been downhill from there. He's been holding on, but then Sunday was just a disaster. What happened on Sunday, Rick?
I think it just all came to a head. It all came to a boil. And it was started off, obviously it was a non-safe situation. It was I think a 4-run lead.
4-0. Yeah.
Yeah. You just, he actually got 2 outs fairly quickly into that too. The same thing happens to Yoendris Gomez last night too.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you get 2 outs really quickly, and then things just, it's these guys these pitch to contact guys. I mean, it's just really hard to continuously put up zeros when you're allowing so much contact.
Right.
And especially O'Brien, who, the stuff's ticked down lately, so the contact's been a little bit harder. And there was a couple cheap hits in there, but at the same time, I mean, it wasn't, I mean, it didn't feel like undeserved at this point. Like there was, I mean, I didn't think he was going to allow 6 earned in one game. I thought it would be spread out,
because
like,
you usually think the manager's going to save him at some point. That was crazy. They let him allow 4 runs, and then was the last one was a 2-run shot, right?
The 2-run homer to Schwarber.
Yeah, so
I don't know why he was pitching there. I know.
Right, they let him tie up the game, 4 straight runs, and then face Schwarber with a runner on, and then he had a bomb to walk it off, and all the calls on that home run were crazy. But O'Brien allowed 6 runs in that outing, 39 pitches. You got to save your guy. His ERA is still under 4. His ERA is still under 4, but I think if we pulled up like what he's done across the past few months, I'll do that while you talk more about Riley O'Brien. I think it's going to look pretty disgusting.
Yeah, if you do it from like the end of May or end of April or something, it's not as good.
End of April. Yeah,
definitely. That initial his first month was like awesome. I mean, he didn't allow any runs.
He didn't allow
striking guys out. Like
right.
And then
he allowed his first run on April 25th. And since then, he's got a 5.26 ERA that comes with a 1.47 WHIP, a 21% strikeout rate, and a 13% walk rate.
Yeah, so that's what he's been for most of the season.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, he's got a ton of saves, and he's going to get overdrafted next year.
Yes.
But I mean, I've always liked Riley O'Brien as a reliever. Just he's not a closer. It's the same. It's not too dissimilar from like Brian Walker, like we're talking about earlier, where it's sinker slider, not much swing and miss. It's just a hard
Holmes.
I mean, Dennis Santana, that's the guy. Similar why he failed this year. I mean, sinker slider, not much swing and miss. So we'll have to see. I mean, again, there's no one really in that bullpen to compete with him at this point. I mean, there's nothing really. I mean, he's probably going to finish the year as the closer, but going into next year, it'd be interesting to see if they bring in an upgrade or try to bring in an upgrade, or if just where he's going in drafts, if he is still the closer. So I'm out on O'Brien, but I understand like he's getting you saves, so you got to ride it out.
Yeah, you just can't consider
negative
him a top 15.
Negative 19 points, I think, in fantasy for that outing on Sunday. In that league the points league we're in, and then there's another league I'm in. I think he had negative 12. So it's just like on a Sunday heading into like the postseason playoffs, it's like really bad timing for those who roster him.
That is rough. Well, our next faller is Kenley Jansen, who just hasn't been pitching. He hadn't pitched since last Wednesday. He did pitch today. He got a save today. That's save number 17 for Kenley Jansen on the year. But the Tigers just seem like if it's not a save situation, Kenley Jansen's not pitching. I don't know if it's a fatigue thing or if they're trying to save him or whatever. But Kenley Jansen's not going to pitch unless it's a save opportunity. And even then, he's not guaranteed to lock it down.
Yeah, I mean, he's still. It's like not a ton has changed, but it's just it's I think it's just maybe age catching up to him, or just like he's a one trick pony that it's starting to get figured out. But yeah, I mean, he's also the command's just been really bad for him. And it's been like this for a couple of years, but just feels like he looks like he's just like laboring out there and like just trying to get through it. It's and again, he hasn't faced, like we talked about Kyle Finnegan earlier. There hasn't been much competition there, but I do think now there might be with Drew Sommers, the way he's been pitching. I don't love, like, the stuff's fine from him, but I mean he's missing bats at a crazy rate. So I think he's also left-handed, so who knows what the Tigers would do. But yeah, I mean, at least they have some sort of competition, someone else to be excited about in Sommers.
Right. Well, maybe that won't be this year, but definitely on the table for next year. Drew Sommers has looked really good. 39% strikeout rate thus far. Our last faller is Emilio Pagan, and you hinted at this. It looks like he might be done. His velocity was way down in his last 2 outings. Is this RIP for Emilio Pagan?
I mean, it's interesting because I noticed this with Pete Fairbanks before last night's outing. Like that last night was the third game for him in a row with the velocity down. So we'll see how Pagan does his next. I mean, they didn't say anything about it today, so we'll see if Pagan pitches the next time he pitches, how the velocity looks. But last night it was down like 2.5 miles per hour to like 92. It's like really, really low. And he had been dealing with I think he missed a save a couple weeks ago with a hand issue, I think Francona said. So
yeah,
I feel like there's clearly something going on there with Pagan. And for him, I wonder, he's got the player option, so I wonder if he feels the need, or if he's trying to just push through some sort of injury to and help his market out, or help his value out, or whatever he's thinking there. But yeah, it does not seem like Emilio Pagan is healthy right now.
Yeah. Like if he keeps pitching, the other teams won't notice that he's injured. It's like, dude, your velocity's down. The teams are a lot smarter than you think they are. Well, that will wrap up our 3 up, 3 down section. To recap, our risers were Tanner Scott, Ben Joyce, Justin Martinez, and Daniel Palencia. And our fallers were Riley O'Brien, Kenley Jansen, and Emilio Pagan. Now we'll head into our main topic and discuss the relievers drafted in our way too early mock draft. But first, we're going to take another break here on In the Pen. And we're back. Jake Crumpler here with Rick Graham on In the Pen discussing relievers. Let's break down the relievers drafted in our pitcher list way too early mock draft, which we did over the past couple of weeks. I think let's just run through all the guys that were drafted, and then we can maybe hit on some of the guys who didn't get drafted. And it's going to be a lot of the guys who you'd expect, but it's pretty clear Mason Miller's the number 1 guy, and I don't think that's going to change by the time draft season comes around.
Yeah. There was a huge gap too. I think the gap is maybe what surprised me the most. Sure. But at the same time, that's how I have it. I mean, there's tier 1, it's Mason Miller, then there's tier 2, it's the next 10 guys or whatever. So
40 picks between Mason Miller and the next guy.
Yeah, and that makes sense because there is a gap there between him and everyone else. So I'm fine with it. I thought he might have gone later than 36. I was thinking about him maybe around 36 too. I think that's late. I mean, that's probably a steal, but I could see him in the first, second round next year.
Oh yeah, especially in those 15-team leagues, back end of the 15-team leagues, NFBC. Yeah, he's probably going to reach into the first round a couple of times. Scott Chu took him, so I guess he's more confident in his hitters than he is in his relievers, which makes a lot of sense. The second reliever off the board was Cade Smith. I mean, he's been super reliable. You know what the Guardians are going to do with their closers. I feel like, to me, it's either him or the guy who went third is Jhoan Duran as the consensus number 2. I feel like those are the next best options.
Yeah, I think I probably would lean Duran over Smith, but it's I don't, either way, I don't hate it. Again, Cade Smith, my concern a little bit there is just that workload,
right,
eventually going to catch up to him at some point, isn't it? Right. I mean, But
It
then
has
again,
to.
he's throwing harder now. Like he's all of a sudden throwing 100 miles per hour. I don't even know where that came from. And I don't know if I like it because the command is taking a hit. But yeah, it's been a weird season for Cade Smith. But overall, he's been good. He's been good for the most part. So I think if you're taking Cade Smith at 76, if he's the second reliever off the board, I might wait a little bit for, again, there's like 12 relievers in that same tier. So I might just wait instead of jumping in this early.
I did jump in this early. I took the fourth reliever off the board. I took Josh Hader. I feel like this year he's returned and he's looked like classic Josh Hader, 0.84 ERA in 32 innings, 36% strikeout rate. He's going to be the closer for the Astros next year. He may not get enough setup help to lock down a bunch of leads, but I think Josh Hader is one of the locks, at least a top 5 lock for me. And I felt like after seeing those first 3 guys go, we're in the 8th round. I took him at 86. It was not too early for me to grab a guy who I felt confident
in. Yeah, and I mean, if we do mention overall pick numbers, it's the closers usually go a little bit later in this. This is a head-to-head. We're drafting if it's a head-to-head league. So yeah, I think Hader, I'm fine with him. I mean, even this year the velocity's been down, but his stuff's still really good. I mean, it's still like A+ stuff from him. Sinker, slider, still good. I mean, there's really no complaints with him as long as he's healthy. And he seems to be having no issues from that injury previously. So yeah, I'm cool with Hader. I think the next pick, though, this is where I really like what Asher did. I think the gap here between 15 picks between Hader and Louis Varland as the 5th reliever, I think that's kind of crazy there. That's a pretty big gap for me.
Yeah, Louis Varland went, and I mean, he sort of had the breakout season this year, but it's not like he wasn't good the year before. He's been really good since moving to the bullpen, so it's been quite a while. I mean, he's definitely fallen a little bit since his incredible start to the season, but I don't think he's done anything to dissuade me from thinking that he's going to be one of the top relievers again next year.
Yeah, and I mean, Toronto already they're paying Tyler Rogers. Are they going to go out and pay? I mean, they're not going to go out and pay another reliever, right? I feel like, Varland's going to be the closer next year. That's pretty locked in. So, yeah. And even the strikeout numbers have come down a little bit, but the stuff is still elite. He's, great at not producing hard contact. Those ratios should stay where they are. Strikeout numbers are still good. So, yeah, he'll be fine. It's a good situation in Toronto too. And even the next, Andres Munoz is pretty good value there too. I really like what Munoz has been doing lately. So I'm down for that.
Go ahead.
He's throwing his fastball more, which is, the slider is good. Obviously he's got a good slider, but the fastball is also elite. It's like he forgot about that at the beginning of the season. Yeah. So yeah, he's trusting the fastball again. And yeah, he's been great for the last couple months now.
Yeah, and Munoz has a track record of getting a lot of saves as well, and I think you might be able to get a good discount since his ERA is over 4.
I was gonna say he was what was he going? He was the second or third, at worst 4th reliever off the board.
Oh, he was going super early. Yeah, definitely top 5 closers after last year.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the ratios, you might be a little concerned, but yeah, I mean, it was a couple bad outings early on in the season, but for most part he's been great. So yeah, I'm not too concerned about Munoz going into next year.
Right, and I think when it comes to drafting, I'll probably be waiting until after pick 100. I think I just felt that Josh Hader was somebody that felt super reliable, but seeing these other guys going after pick 100, I'll probably be waiting a little longer in the future. Moving down the list, Jacob Latz went at pick 108 in the 9th round. That was pretty surprising, and it went to Scott Chu as well. So he got Mason Miller and Jacob Latz. He's locking down his closers, and honestly, that's a little bit surprising, not because I don't think Jacob Latz has been incredible this year, 1.68 ERA, 26 saves, but the trajectory of his career is crazy to go from a solid starter to surprise reliever and then elite closer, making the All-Star game, and now going as one of the top what is that? 7? One of the top 7 closers in this way too early mock draft is pretty impressive. And honestly, I don't really have much problem with it because there's nobody that's going to take his job.
That might be, he's probably, I haven't put together a closer list for next year, but 7 sounds about right for Jacob Latz. Yeah, I mean, yeah, again, yeah, like you said, there's no one taking his job in Texas. We know they don't want to spend. They've never spent money on a reliever. They're not going to start doing. I mean, I don't think they're going to start doing it now. So, and there's no one behind him, right? There's really no competition. So Latz is locked. I mean, he's been awesome, and there was a couple like a month ago or maybe 2 months ago. I was like, he might move back into the rotation, but at this point, I don't think you can do that. And
right.
It seems like the Rangers have a little bit more depth in the rotation than in the obviously than in the bullpen. So
yeah,
I think Latz is your locked in closer there for the foreseeable future. I didn't realize he's already 30 years old. I thought he was younger than that.
Really?
So
yeah, that's surprising. Okay, well, that makes more sense that they would sort of leave him where he's at if he's figured it out there.
Yeah. So,
the next guy off the board was Edwin Diaz, and that's a bit surprising just considering what time of the year we're drafting and how the narrative around Edwin Diaz is really terrible right now. So I was surprised to see him go as the number 8 reliever off the board at pick 113. I mean, the potential value there is extreme. Edwin Diaz has been the number 1 closer in years past. He's pitching for the best team in baseball. So I could totally see him bouncing back next year. But given how he's pitched this year and given the cloudiness and uncertainty about whether or not he's like, if this is an injury thing, if this is a mental thing, if this is just the league adjusting to him and he's just slowly declining, and with all of the competition there as well, and with the Dodgers' willingness to use their IL spots, it still seems like taking Edwin Diaz inside the top 10 closers is going to be risky no matter what time you're drafting.
Yeah, this is where it starts to get kind of interesting.
I
guess you're banking on him being healthy and figuring things out. I really don't know how to think about him for next year. I guess we have to see, he's going to be back in September. We got to see what he looks like there. I mean, from a stuff standpoint, it's not like it's just fallen off a cliff or anything. It's just, there's the command sequencing. Just, I don't know. What was it? Diaz said he was too east-west and wanted to be more north-south, or maybe it was vice versa. But I don't know. We'll see how Diaz looks in September. But this is this could be either a great pick or just a lost pick. It's you're taking a chance, I think. So probably at this point a little earlier than I would be willing to take Diaz. But I mean, if he's healthy and if he should be the Dodgers closer next year, I don't think that's. I think that's pretty fair to say, even with, I mean, they still have Tanner Scott coming back, so it might be interesting. Maybe they would consider trading one. They do trade Diaz, but I don't even know if you can move that contract really. So it'll be interesting to see how things play out there. But and Tanner, I noticed Tanner Scott got drafted in this too. So I think we're, I don't know what the thought is there, but.
Yeah, there's no consensus at this point for sure.
Yeah, so still wide open for the Dodgers closer role next year, I guess.
The 9th reliever off the board, we had a pretty good 27 pick break between Edwin Diaz and Bryan Baker, who went to Asher, and you were commending Asher's willingness to get the guys that broke out this year and became some of the best closers in the league. He got Louis Varland earlier. Now he's got Bryan Baker, and Baker leads baseball with 38 saves. He's got a 1.56 ERA, 28% strikeout rate. It will be interesting to see what the Rays do in the bullpen when it comes to next year, but we got Edwin Uceta coming back. It depends on Griffin Jacks moves back to the bullpen, but Bryan Baker, I don't know why they would change it up with Bryan Baker.
Yeah, but doesn't that feel, I mean, no inside information or anything, but doesn't it just feel like Baker would be a guy that they would trade after like a good season like this, breakout season? Seems like a guy that is classic Rays would trade. Yeah.
That seems like a Rays thing to do.
I mean, he's only got 1 or 2 more years of arbitration too. So it's like, it feels like a Rays thing to trade Bryan Baker in the offseason. But that gap there, and then getting Baker at 140 as the 9th reliever off the board closer, that makes sense for me. But yeah, I think just 140, it's a good time to dive back into the closer market and get someone like Baker, who you can't just say he's going to get traded. It could happen, but I mean, right now we got to pretend like he's the Rays closer for next year, and he will be. Even if Uceta comes back, I mean, that's not he's not a threat to the closer role. So, yeah, I think Baker's a really good choice there. And there's no reason to think he can't repeat this. I mean, he was better than the numbers showed last year. We talked about him all off season, and
Right.
He's legit. This isn't just a fluke.
Next off the board was David Bednar, and we don't know where he's going to be because he's going to be a free agent. The Yankees will have incentive to sign him back because they don't have a clear-cut closer going into 2027. So Bednar could be back in New York, but he's not guaranteed a closer role. He's been a very solid, reliable closer for the past number of years now. I think he's been a closer since 2022, and he's been good in all except for one of them. So I'd expect that David Bednar to get a lot of looks from teams in free agency, and he's been very reliable, to say the least, about David Bednar.
Yeah, I mean, he had a little bit of a rocky start to the season, but since then he's been lights out. Changed a little bit of his pitch mix, and it's been working. Yeah, this feels like the Yankees need to probably overpay him, but they can do it because they're the Yankees, and like they can't afford to, because there's a pretty good free agent market, and I guess they could pivot to like a veteran guy or maybe a Morejon or a Abreu if they wanted to save some money, but they should be doing what they can to bring back David Bednar.
Right.
So yeah, free agent, but I would highly bet that I would suggest that he's going to be a Yankee next year by the end of the day. So and then the 10th reliever off the board again, he's in that top 12 for me, where it's just he's one of those tier 2 guys for sure. And no reason to think he can't be next year.
Right. The next pick was pretty crazy. Didier Fuentes went off the board at pick 146, just 4 picks after David Bednar. I think this is a little bit of a mix. Right. Is he going to be a starter? Is he going to be a closer? Either way, you're going to win. He's not guaranteed to be the closer. Obviously, Robert Suarez is going to be around next year. Dylan Lee is still going to be with the Braves next year. So there's going to be a lot of competition. He looks like he could be the closer of the future based on how he's been pitching out of the bullpen this year. But I would be surprised if the Braves gave up so quickly on him being a starter, especially because the rotation is not as solid as it's been in years past. I mean, it's Chris Sale and a whole host of randos right now. So I think that pick, it's hard to judge the pick number or where it went in the draft because Fuentes' role is undetermined, but I don't mind him around there.
Yeah, I think at that point you're taking a flyer. I think you're probably hoping on him being the starter, fallback being him being a closer. But yeah, I if he was the Braves closer, I mean that spot works for me. Like I mean, it seems a little aggressive, but yeah, he's been awesome this year as a reliever, especially lately. So the only thing, I mean, you're more into the starters these days, but I don't know if Fuentes has a third. Does he have a third offering to really? I mean, or is he like Spencer Strider with just 2 pitches? And yeah, I don't know, but
right. I mean, I think more like Huascar Brazoban, if we're talking about Braves guys where you don't know if they have enough pitches. I mean, because I don't ever think Strider didn't have enough pitches. I think his stuff just fell off, and then he needed more pitches. But I mean, right now Fuentes definitely has the stuff. It's definitely more aligned for the bullpen, in my opinion. But he's gonna have to have either really good command where you can pull off sort of the like Chase Burns, where you don't need a third pitch at all because your stuff is so good, or you're going to have to incorporate a new pitch. He does have that splitter, so there is potential there. But yeah, I don't know. I don't really see that working out too well in the rotation, though. They're definitely going to give him a chance, in my opinion. I don't think they can just give up on him. 20
years old, right? Yeah,
you can't give up on him that quickly. Sperry probably has some ideas about him because he's a huge Didier Fuentes fan.
Oh yeah, I know that's his boy.
That's his boy.
But yeah, it is. I mean, I'm guessing that's the draft pick there. It's got to be for a starter, right? Because I mean, Robert Suarez is there, like you said. Dylan Lee's still there,
right?
And maybe they bring back Iglesias again. Who knows?
The next pick off the board was Riley O'Brien, and you talked about his ADP being pushed up because of how many saves he got last year. This seems like a guy who's going to be overdrafted. If you remove Fuentes, then he's the 11th closer off the board. That seems a little bit rich for my taste. I think he's going to start the season as the closer. I don't know how long he holds it. Like you said, he's more suited for a setup role where he can get ground balls and get out of jams and stuff. But Riley O'Brien, has 33 saves this year. I'd be surprised if he got 30 again next year.
Yeah, same. Feels like a classic trap reliever closer, where we're just looking at save totals from last year. But I mean, there was a time in April where he looked like a legit, top 10 closer, like option. Just that was a glimpse more than an actual, stable thing that we've seen from him. And yeah, it's more of he's a good reliever, just stuck in a situation where he has to close out games for this team that just happens to have a bunch of save chances. And yeah, it's worked out for him now, but I would not bet on it working out next year for him.
Right. I mean, there's a whole handful of relievers after him that I'd rather take over.
I know.
Riley
I was
O'Brien,
looking at realizing some of these. Yeah.
Pretty surprising to see him go as the 12th reliever off the board. Next was Aroldis Chapman. I don't hate this pick at 163. He's been sub 2 ERA the past 2 years. Obviously, his stuff is declining, but it's not enough to make him ineffective. He's had 30 saves each of the past 2 years as well.
Yeah.
He's going to be with the Red Sox again next year, where he succeeded for 2 straight years. I could see him slowing down a little bit, but I don't think it's going to get to a point where you are considering replacing Chapman as the closer in Boston.
Yeah, I think it's the stuff has the fastball has diminished a little bit, but then the slider and splitter are still really good, and he's starting to throw them a little bit more, have more feel, have more trust in those. So yeah, I think again, age is starting to get up there. It's a little concerning, but the fact that I believe it was a vesting option that vested, so he will be back in Boston next year, and that's a good sign for him and probably for the Red Sox. So yeah, I'm not too worried. I think he can, especially at this 12 or 13 reliever off the board.
Right.
Yeah, I'm comfortable with that for sure.
Next was Trevor McGill, the 14th reliever off the board at 168. I think that's pretty good value. I mean, McGill does have competition there with Abner Uribe. He pitched well, Uribe did this year, but he didn't look as dominant as he did in 2025. I feel like the Brewers want McGill to be the closer. Uribe's still got that classic setup stuff with the sinker and everything. So I think it makes sense for him to be the setup guy anyway. But McGill's been really reliable over the past years. As long as he's healthy, awesome. Right? As long as he's healthy, he's going to be elite.
Yeah, and I think the one, and it's again, you can't predict trades, but the Brewers could definitely see they were considering trading McGill this year. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I could definitely see it happening this offseason for them. Especially the year he's having, you can get a pretty good. You sell high on McGill now before his arbitration value hits its peak. So that being said, I mean, there's a lot of teams where I think he would go land. He would still be a closer somewhere. Doesn't have to be Milwaukee. So yeah, I think that's really good. This is one of the better values too. I think McGill here at 14th reliever, 168. Savio, good pick, man.
Nice. Yeah. Next was Tanner Scott at pick 170, the 15th reliever off the board. That one's going to be, I think, a contentious pick just because we don't know what's going to happen with Edwin Diaz or Tanner Scott. I think both of them are worth drafting, but I think their ADPs are going to fall throughout the offseason as they sort of compete with each other for this role and more news comes out. We see how they pitch in the spring, etc. But it's hard to condone drafting Tanner Scott in the top 200 right now.
Yeah. I think you gotta either be thinking there's a trade or that he'll just outright win the job from Edwin Diaz, who they're, mm-hmm. I mean, again, it shouldn't matter if you're the Dodger. I mean, we could talk about the Dodgers and everything for a while, but hypothetically, it shouldn't matter who's getting paid what in this bullpen. It's, you have all these arms and just use whoever the best closer option is, just go with that. But At the same time, I mean, we clearly see, Dave Roberts is really trying to push Edwin Diaz into the closer role. I mean, he's getting paid to do it. I get it. But I mean, I would take a chance on Scott later, but yeah, this just feels a little bit too early.
Raisel Iglesias went next, and that would seem like a good value if he was still with the Braves, where he's been the closer for the past few years. He's going to be a free agent. I think Iglesias is going to get a closer job somewhere. It just depends on where and what version of Iglesias we get. Usually it's bad in the first half, good in the second half. This year it's been flip-flop. So going into the offseason on the downswing, I don't know how that makes people feel about Raisel Iglesias. I still think he's going to be a good option to be drafted. And honestly, I don't hate drafting him here right inside the top 200.
Yeah, that's going to be... Yeah, I mean, I'm probably going to stay away until he lands somewhere, but that could probably inflate his value. But yeah, he definitely will have a chance to close out games if he wants to, but I'm sure he'll also get, some setup interest from contenders as well.
Oh yeah.
So it's one of those things. Does he want to close out games, or does he want to pitch for a contender?
Right.
Maybe he can do both. But the stuff's really fallen off a cliff for him. I don't know what contenders want him to be closing out games for them. So we'll see.
Next was Daniel Palencia, the 17th reliever off the board at pick 200. He should be the Cubs closer next year. I don't see why he wouldn't. He did deal with a 2-month injury this year, but when he was pitching, he was pitching well. He just didn't get many save opportunities, just 3 saves, but it's not like he was blowing them. A little bit of a frustrating season from Palencia, but he's the best reliever in this bullpen. He should be again next year, and I feel like this is a pretty good value at 200 for Palencia.
Yeah, he's probably the best reliever. I mean, Jacob Webb's really good. And Webb's back. I think he's got a team option for like $2 million, which good for you, Cubs. Good nice. On you. So yeah, I still think, again, even if Palencia doesn't finish the year even if like Webb is the closer the rest of the way, I think Palencia's. I mean, you got to get him back into the closer role, right? Like you put him into the closer role early in his career. I feel like he's got to be. You can't. It's tough to like turn your back on him from that role for too long. So I would think Palencia is the closer there. Yeah, at this 17th reliever off the board, I'm fine taking a chance here. Pick 200, yeah. We'll take a chance.
The very next pick was Grant Taylor, and this is sort of in the same vein as Didier Fuentes, where we just don't know what role Grant Taylor is going to have, but whatever that's going to be, it's probably going to be pretty worthwhile to roster in fantasy. I think the White Sox need to try him as a starter. I don't know if that's the best choice, but they got to give him at least a chance. And even if he is in the bullpen, he's not guaranteed the closer role. We saw how they used him this year. They like using him in multiple innings. They like using him as a high leverage reliever. There's plenty of guys around there. If he is the clear-cut closer, he should be a top 10 guy, but that's far from being determined at this point in the year.
Yeah, I mean, he's had a different. He was looked better in the first half than the second half. I know his ERA looks better in the second half, but the fastball's the fastball's more average than it is like elite. Like breakers are really, it's curveball and slider are great. I think he does it between the 4-seam sinker, curveball, slider. That's why I think he should be a starter. There's like a legit 4-pitch starter mix there. So. And it's not like the White Sox have like elite starters right now in their system. So yeah, he should be starting next year. And you can always go out and add a reliever, or they still have Jordan Hicks coming back, and he's been pitching really well. But yeah, I think at 201 we can take a chance on Grant Taylor.
Right.
I would probably prefer him to be a starter if I'm taking him, to be honest. Some guys would prefer to be a closer, but for Taylor, I'd prefer him to be a starter, I think.
Yeah. The next few picks are where we really start to see, okay, these are like boom or bust picks all the way. Devin Williams, I think, is somebody who should bounce back. The underlying metrics always suggest he should be better, and it's just not been going his way recently. He should be the Mets closer again next year. I don't see why he wouldn't, but it's not been going well, but the underlying metrics suggest it should be going so much better. Do you have faith in Devin Williams returning to form next year? And obviously I think you'd take the risk after pick 200, but would you bump him up inside the top 200?
Probably. Yeah. I mean, he's not going to be the 19th reliever in my rankings. I would imagine. Cause he's pretty locked in. He is locked into that Mets closer role. Mm-hmm. Maybe they try to trade him, but I doubt it. So yeah, it's been it's back-to-back kind of up and down roller coaster seasons for him. Yeah. They're not great. It's starting to be a trend now more than yeah, like the underlying metrics do look good, but at the same time, it's back-to-back years with these ratios, man.
Mhm.
And the strikeout numbers have been down too. So
Yeah,
I have concerns, but like, especially this late, I mean, yeah, why not throw a
right.
dart here at a
Totally.
guy who's been elite and has the closer role? Definitely, he's probably gonna be someone that I'll be targeting. And yeah, I mean, if he's going this late, for sure.
Right. And that seems to be the case with Felix Bautista too, who went next as the 20th closer off the board. I don't see why he wouldn't be the closer next year for the Orioles if he's healthy. He's been the closer in the past. He's got some insane stuff. Ryan Helsley's a free agent, right?
No,
No. Okay, that throws a wrench into it all. Okay, what do you
Helsley has a player option, I believe it is. Player option for Helsley.
Yeah.
So
All right. He's exercising
for
that.
him, and that's a very interesting one, because $14 million player option. You would think he would just accept that because he's not going to make that after this year.
Yeah.
But at the same time, does he want to? I mean, he's probably, again, with Bautista there, does he want to deal with that and like competing for the closer role, or does he want to go somewhere else, maybe get a 2-year deal where he can close somewhere? You know what I mean? So very interesting to see how Helsley, once we figure out what he does with that player option, that will change his ADP and Bautista's for sure.
Yeah, that's definitely something to keep an eye on. And we don't know if Bautista's healthy. We don't know what he's going to look like when he's back.
Is Helsley healthy? Is he
right?
Yeah.
So that's going to be a bullpen to keep an eye on throughout the offseason. Definitely watching that player option, watching how these guys perform down the stretch here, what they look like in spring training. I mean, there's a lot of upside there with Felix Bautista. In the past, I mean, he's been like the number one closer at some point.
Yeah, there's stretches where he's been the most dominant reliever in baseball, or when back when he was healthy. I have no idea I'm very curious to see how he looks in AAA these next coming weeks. See how the stuff looks. Because it's been so long. Even when we saw him last year, it wasn't like the real Felix Bautista, because he was coming off Tommy John. Mm-hmm. Now he's got the shoulder thing, a lot going on, a lot of injuries to come to work past. So I'm hoping for the best, but I'm trying to also temper expectations, because it's just a lot to come. It's a lot to bounce back from.
Right.
And with him, and his command's never been like his best. The best part of his pitching is the command, and coming back from elbow and then shoulder surgery. The command could be ugly. The stuff ticks down, and it's just, I don't know. We'll see. I'm hoping for the best. I love Felix Bautista, but I'm very skeptical on how things are going to work out.
Next was Adrian Morejon, the 21st reliever off the board. That's a fun pick, but
yeah,
I mean, he's got his role uncertainty is definitely going to play a big factor. Not only do we not know which team he's going to be on next year as a free agent, we don't know if he's going to be signed as a setup guy, as a closer, or if he's even transitioned into starting, because he's got a guy who's got a starter's arsenal. He came up as a starter. I wouldn't be surprised if a team at least tries him out as a starter. It really depends on what Morejon wants to do. Yeah. So, I mean, I like that pick regardless of what his role becomes, because he's been so dominant as a pitcher in general over the past couple of years. So I'm excited to see how that works out for Adrian Morejon, but that's a fun pick at 242.
Yeah. I would imagine he's probably going to get the best offers are going to be from teams who want to move him to the rotation. As long as he's open to it, I'm sure that's what's going to happen. He's only like 27. So that said, I mean, he would be an elite closer as well. That is the fallback option there. He's throwing 99-mile-per-hour sinkers these days. So fun, definitely a fun. I was gonna take him if Jacob didn't take him here. So that was someone I definitely had on my radar at the end of this draft.
The guy you got instead is pretty good. You got Mason Montgomery at pick 250. And if he's the Pirates closer like he is right now, I mean, the sky is the limit for him. I've compared him to Mason Miller a lot, not just because they have the same initials and the same first name, but also because he's got stuff similar to Miller just from the left side.
Yeah, they both, it was last night they pitched in the same game together.
Right.
It was fun to see that. I'm drafting him here thinking he's going to be the Pirates closer next year, which he should be. But again, similar. We talked about it, I think last week. I could see Montgomery in the rotation potentially. I know there's an injury concern there.
Well, not
But
for the Pirates. They got so many starters.
you can never have enough starters. And I mean,
That's fair. If Paul Skeens is dead, then maybe Montgomery's in there.
but if you want to get really greedy, you could move Montgomery into like the fifth starter role there and see what happens. But
I mean, they do have Luke Weaver and Camilo Doval, so they got guys there that could be closers.
So yeah, I mean, but either way, it might be best to just to have Montgomery just as a reliever, keep him healthy if that's what it takes. But he does have a deeper arsenal now. Like he's I don't know. He stopped throwing the changeup, but he was throwing a changeup for a little bit, and he's two different breakers, 2 fastballs. So it could be an interesting. But either way, at 250, yeah, I'll take Mason Montgomery all day. I'm probably, right now he's probably close to a top 12 closer for me for next year.
Yeah, so then that's huge value for you there at 250. I'm sure his ADP is going to come up throughout the year, but Mason Montgomery is definitely going to be one of those value picks for us. That's going to be one of the guys we're banging the drums for, just like we did with AJ Puck the year before when he fell apart.
Don't
a little different.
You dare make that. I don't know.
Sorry. Robert Stevenson, is that better?
Oh yeah, that's better. Yeah, thanks.
I took Ben Joyce with my next pick. I picked 254. This is one of those where I feel like this is going to be the year for Ben Joyce to finally figure it out. Hopefully the reins are off a little bit in 2027 as they sort of ease him back in the action this year. But I'm excited about what Ben Joyce does this year. And I think the next pick went to you, and it was the very next pick you took Justin Martinez. And I think those guys are going to be pretty linked to each other. They seem like both 100-mile-per-hour guys. They're going to be pitching for their respective clubs. I think I have more confidence in Joyce being the outright closer just because Martinez is going to have a little bit more competition, but it's not going to be that crazy. I don't think it's going to be that crazy, especially because AJ Puck's going to be a free agent.
Yeah. So he's got Garcia and Murillo for sure.
Right.
But I think if Martinez is healthy, he was signed to be the long-term closer there. So I think he's pretty safe. Joyce probably, Sammy Natera is really good, man.
Right.
But yeah, I think if they're both healthy, I think push comes to shove, Joyce is the closer there for next year, as long as this season ends well for him and he's healthy and all that. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I love this string that we put together here.
Yeah,
with Montgomery, Joyce, Martinez. I think it's pretty good. That's nice reliever upside this late in the draft.
Totally. Yeah, and Asher took the next pick, and we were commending him for taking guys that broke out this year with Louis Varland and Brian Baker. And I think he went a little too far going and getting Yoendrys Gomez from the Twins bullpen. You feel confident about him, even with Jeff Hoffman still around for next year?
I'm feeling less and less confident in Jeff Hoffman.
Okay.
But at the same time, Gomez is very. I don't feel confident in Yoendrys Gomez. I don't know. Maybe if it does end up being like a camp competition, maybe Hoffman does win out. But I don't know. I'm surprised, a little surprised Hoffman didn't get drafted. But again, there's only 27 relievers drafted, so yeah, it kind of makes sense. Gomez has been on a roll. Up until last night, he was kind of he was rolling. He had 3 saves in 3 days last week. So the Twins definitely have trust in him, but I do wonder, they went out and got those veteran relievers for a reason. So I do wonder if the wheels fall off here for Gomez, if that's the end of that for now. And they move to Hoffman or even AJ Minter. They've been trusting AJ Minter like the 8th inning recently.
All right. And the second to last reliever off the board went to you, your last reliever. You took Robert Suarez. That makes sense. He should be the Braves closer next year.
Yeah, he was signed to be the Braves closer next year. So as long as he's healthy, which has been obviously a disappointment. He was great until he got hurt.
Oh my gosh, yeah, sub 1 ERA.
Yeah, and it sounds like they're still hoping that he returns by the end of the year, but it's like we're getting close to that make or break time with these injuries. So, but I would hope we see Suarez like at least pitch in September and then October. Get a full off season ahead of him as well. So, but yeah, even like we talk about Fuentes and Dylan Lee, I think it doesn't matter as long as if Suarez is healthy, he's going to open the year as the closer there.
And the last reliever off the board went to me. I took Pete Fairbanks. He's going to be a free agent, so we don't know if he's going to be closing. And if so, we don't know where. But I see the upside there. I know he has an ERA over 6, but he's been a closer for multiple years now. I think teams are smart enough to look past the ERA and see the potential in Pete Fairbanks. And I wouldn't be surprised if he's closing this year. It was also my last pick of the draft. So you want to take a dart throw here on a guy with some upside. And I thought Fairbanks was the best option there.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I was definitely, he was on my short list of relievers I was throwing darts on at the end of the draft too. So between him and the guy, I guess the one big surprise who didn't get drafted was Emilio Pagan.
Sure.
Which because he maybe, again, we talked about his situation where he has a player option, so he may be a free agent, or there's a 50% chance he's back in Cincinnati, and if he is, he's probably the closer. So if he's a free agent, he might not be though. So it is kind of a tricky one there. Fairbanks, I feel like he's been a closer for so long. He signed with the Marlins to be a closer. I feel like he could definitely find another closer gig if he wants.
Wants one. It may not be a good team, but if he wants to close, there's going to be plenty of teams that would love to employ him. There weren't many guys that went undrafted that I was surprised about. I definitely think there will be guys that weren't drafted here that will be drafted pretty regularly once we get into the off season. I think Pagan was one of those guys. Helsley, depending on how that player option works out. Kenley Jansen is probably going to get a handful of saves to open the season. Somebody's going to want to take Carlos Estevez, right? If he's throwing 95.
Yeah, I guess his velo, he threw in a game recently and his velo was better.
Of course it was.
The streets are saying this. I don't know if no one can confirm or deny.
Right.
But we'll see.
Sammy Natera Jr., you mentioned, I mean, he's been so incredible this year. We don't know what his role is going to be for the Angels, but he's pitched so well this year, and Ben Joyce has been anything but consistent. So I don't think it'd be too crazy to draft Natera with your last pick or something.
Yeah. I love Natera, but I still feel like if Joyce is healthy, he's probably the favorite there.
Yeah, and there's plenty of free agents too beyond Jansen and Estevez. We'll see Jason Adam. He's closed in the past. He has missed a lot of the year with an injury, so not really sure what it's going to look like next year. Evan Phillips will be a free agent. Bryan Abreu might be the most interesting of that bunch just because he's always seemed like he deserved to be a closer up until this year where it all fell apart, just pitching behind Josh Hader. Yeah, terrible timing, but I could definitely see him latching on somewhere. Alex Vesia and AJ Puck, super high upsides there. I mean, I don't foresee a team employing those guys as closers, but if they did get a closer job, I mean, those guys have very high ceilings.
Yeah, I mean, two lefties, I'm sure, contenders are going to want those guys as left-handed setup men in their bullpen, but at the same time, they have good enough stuff to close somewhere. So yeah,
right.
We'll see.
Anybody else that went undrafted that you think's worth mentioning that might go or is almost guaranteed to go in drafts in the future, or at least
I think it's
draft?
More so looking at team situations where the Yankees don't bring back Bednar. What's their internal answer? Is it Brent Hedrick, Fernando Cruz? Right. I can't imagine they would just roll with those two guys. It's the Yankees. They're going to go get someone, right?
Yeah.
Let's see. Arizona, I guess, if is Brandon Garcia going to have any interest next year?
Right.
Jeff Hoffman, we mentioned him in Minnesota, potentially factoring in. Two guys returning from injuries like Randy Rodriguez, Ronnie Henriquez.
Right.
The intrigue, both, I know we're both big on those two guys, and there's openings to, Fairbanks won't be back in Miami. So openings for both those guys next year to definitely keep an eye on. None of the A's guys went. I get that, but Elvis Alvarado, Hogan Harris, still interesting. No one from Kansas City went either. No one wanted to take a chance on Nate Pearson or Steven Cruz. I get that. That's fair. Yeah. Detroit has an opening. Will Vest will be back next year. Talked about Drew Sommers earlier.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of,
Tyler Wells that's an interesting one. If Brian Baker gets traded, like if you're doing a really early draft and you're going really deep, Tyler Wells is one of those guys you want to get in on and it's the same path as Baker coming from the Orioles.
Yeah, it's almost like you sell high on Baker and then you just have Wells slide right in there. Kind of fits, or they could potentially trade Wells too. I think Wells is also a free agent, maybe after next year. So. We'll see. But yeah, Tampa Bay always does weird things, so something to keep an eye on there. Then Cincinnati's another one. If Pagan does not, if he does decline his player option, then does Tony Santilan or Graham Ashcraft slide into the closer role, or they look elsewhere? Luis May maybe too. You never know. So
Right.
also, no one took anyone from Washington, which good.
Makes sense. Yeah.
So yeah.
All right. Well, that will do it for this episode of the In the Pen podcast. Rick, why don't you go ahead and plug your socials and let everybody know what else you're working on?
Yeah, you can find me on socials at I am Rick Graham. Working on, as usual, our reliever streamers, reliever roundup each morning or afternoon. Every Tuesday, putting out reliever ranks, closers, setup men, and save plus hold leagues, all that fun stuff. We got a couple more. It's August. I know football season's around the corner, but I'm still very much locked into baseball and fantasy baseball from here on out till the end of September.
Right. Yeah. A few more weeks left. You can follow the pod at In the Pen Pod. You can follow me on socials at Jake Crumpler. You can find me on the First Pitch podcast 4 days a week. You can find me doing the weekend editions of the SP Roundup. I did just write the notes for the most recent list. So if you want to go check that out as well, hopefully I lived up to the standards that Nick has set. I also do some work for Baseball HQ, where I do playing time analysis for the Giants, A's, Angels, and Diamondbacks. But if you want links to all of my work, you can head over to crumplerbaseball.com. But that's going to do it for this episode 173 of the In the Pen podcast. We'll talk to you all next week.